Guess who's number one?
Guess who's the number one political talk radio on...
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Greetings and salutations. This is the disgruntled millennial subbing in for the great Kevin Jackson, sitting in the big boy chair, broadcasting to you not live from my safe space down here in Jacksonville, Florida, where I am free from your racism, hatred, bigotry, Islamophobia, microaggressions, patriarchy. You know, I got to thinking during the break as we were hearing from our wonderful sponsors. I got to thinking that I actually am quite privileged. I grew up in the best, freest, most bodacious country in the entire history of humanity, America. And I grew up in a really great time, too. I wasn't aware of it at the time, but I grew up during the Reagan era. My dad was loaded before he died. It was pretty insane. The guy died a rich man, very rich man. It's a privilege to be an American. It's a privilege to call yourself a citizen. It's a privilege to have free speech. Even though these are rights that were ordained by God himself, it's a privilege to live in a country that recognizes that. They don't recognize that in all other countries. Even our European friends don't have what we would consider free speech. That I can come on here and say that our ex-president is an awful man. There are places in the world where you will be taken away and never heard from again if you use that kind of language against the president or king or emperor or sheik or whatever they do in Yabba Dabba Doo land. You know, I hear all the time from the left that white people can't talk about racial issues because white people are in the majority race, and that means that we can never understand the plight of minority races. For some reason, all other races can talk about white people. They understand the white experience. They know what we go through, and they know about our privilege, and they know what we should feel guilty about. It's not reciprocal, though. If some person tells you that you have white privilege and you say, okay, well, I am going to defer to my own experience of being white, and I'm going to tell you that actually we don't have privilege. Well, you can't say that. You're just expressing your white supremacy. What about Islam? I see a lot of white people, a lot of white liberals, a lot of white progressives talking about the religion of peace like they know something about it. Well, my guest today, Anni Cyrus, does know something about it. She is the founder of Live Up to Freedom and a member of the Glazov Gang. She's also the national director and media contact for the American Truth Project. Now, unlike the mullahs and the leftists, she actually cares about oppressed women. Unlike most leftists, she knows exactly what oppression looks like, smells like, and tastes like. She was a child bride in Islamic Republic of Iran, so good luck trying to pin her as a sexist xenophobe. How's it going?
It's going great. Xenophobe? Really? That's a new one coming up?
Yeah, well, that's anyone who's afraid of people from other countries, and they usually mean it to describe someone who wants to see Americans be safe. That's basically what it is.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, so you grew up in the Islamic Republic of Iran. You were a child bride there. Do you think the temporary travel ban on the 7 dangerous countries that Obama himself outlined as hotbeds of terrorism is justified?
Absolutely. 100%.
Tell me a little bit more about how you feel about, like, why do you think Trump is getting so much pushback from the left? And what don't the left understand about countries like this that justify such a measure?
Well, the very first reason that President Trump is getting a lot of heat from the left is because we both know the ultimate goal of the left is to basically destroy America as we know it and build their new utopia on the ashes. Anything that would stop them from destroying America will not be in their favor. And this temporary ban is one of the biggest steps, is one of the biggest obstacles they're going to face in order to destroy America. Why? Because the best way to destroy America and American values is to bring in Muslims who follow Sharia, because they're going to destroy our constitution. Now, to back that point up is Sharia cannot coexist with anything, especially our constitution, because Sharia is all about no equality, no woman's right, no human rights. And our constitution is the complete opposite. It's all about equality, women's right, human rights, everything is freedom of speech, freedom of press. So that's the number one reason they are going crazy. After that, because they don't actually have the clear understanding of what Sharia means and what it stands for, they're blindly trying to be the nice people. They're trying to be welcoming. They are so confused. They think bringing in Muslims is the same as welcoming refugees, and it isn't.
So why do you think it is that that must be why any attempt to push back on this is you're being a racist, you're being an Islamophobe? Why is it that the word Islamophobe is sort of overused?
Well, the first thing, I don't even believe in such a thing as Islamophobe, because phobia is supposed to be a fear based on something that doesn't exist. Islam is scary. We should all fear Islam. So Islamophobia is an incorrect word in general. However, the reason they're trying to constantly use you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're an Islamophobe or whatever. First of all, under Obama administration, these words were basically used to scare people from being labeled. And again, under Obama administration, what happened was they pushed to take away our freedom of speech. And the first thing they can do is, if they can prove that you're a racist, it's a crime. Racism is a crime. So they keep trying, but as you say, as many of us say, Islam isn't a race. So being anti-Islam doesn't make you a racist. In my book, it makes you a smart person, but in general, by the law, it's not a race.
You see, the left has been exposing themselves for being the tyrants who disregard facts, intolerant people who use violence to meet cult-like ends, and they demand complete conformity. Does that sort of mindset remind you a little bit of your days back home in the Islamic Republic of Iran?
It 100% reminds me of that. I was watching one of the so-called rally, even though it was a riot, protest at one of the airports right here in LAX. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my goodness, deja vu. It literally looked exactly like when the Islamic revolution was going on in Iran. It was absolutely no fact whatsoever, and everything was just assumption. It was all forceful. It was all my way or highway. Every other airport had the same situation, but this one, because I was right there, I was looking at all the banners they were holding. There was this banner saying, Trump is haram. I'm like, really? This is your fact? This is what you're fighting? Trump is haram. Well, yes, in Sharia, Trump is haram because he's not following Sharia. But at the end of the day, how low level of IQ you have to have in order to fight your fight based on Trump is haram in America.
Absolutely. And we are going to be right back. We've got to take a quick break. We're going to get a word from our sponsors. This is Brett Siegel, a.k.a. The Disgruntled Millennial, subbing in for Kevin Jackson, Kevin Jackson Radio, kjradio.com. We'll be right back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Recently, we had a government takeover of our healthcare system, and is retirement next? Hi, Kevin Jackson here. It's already happened in 12 countries in the last 5 years. Governments paying off their debts by seizing a portion of their citizens' bank and retirement accounts. We're $18 trillion in debt, and there is $18 trillion in retirement accounts. You do the math. Is our country wanting to do the same? Get the facts. My dear friends at Landmark Capital Gold Group have the facts. CEO David Fisher wrote a white paper titled, How to Protect Your Retirement and Bank Accounts from Government Seizure. Transfer your 401k or IRA into physical gold and silver and take possession. You heard me right. Take possession. No paper, real product, and no tax liability. Call Landmark Capital at 844-715-9411. That's 844-715-9411 or landmarkgold.com. That's landmarkgold.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Greetings, my fellow Americans. We are back. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. I am the disgruntled millennial, a.k.a. Brett Siegel, subbing in for the great Kevin Jackson. Sitting in the big boy chair today, we are here with Anni Cyrus. She is making quite a name for herself as a huge supporter of women. And we were just talking about the alleged travel ban on Muslims, which it's really not a travel ban on Muslims because there's about 1.1 billion Muslims that aren't affected by it. But that doesn't stop the left from going berserk. And I want to talk to you a little bit about a certain phenomena that I've noticed at these women's marches. You see, women have been marching against Trump. Of course, it's not for women. It's against Trump because women Trump supporters are given the boot and given mace, and they're beaten within an inch of their life. So it's not really about women. But a lot of these women are making American flags into hijabs, wearing vaginas as hats, and causing violence to Trump supporters. I got a couple questions about that. How would the Islamic Republic of Iran, the mullahs there, handle such a group of outspoken women?
Oh, all of them would be dead. Like literally, they would be shot dead on the streets. Back in 2009, we had Iranian people marching the streets peacefully. No yelling, no screaming, just peacefully with banners on their hands. And 2,800 of them were shot dead on the streets. Oh yeah, there is no negotiation. There is no arresting. They shoot you, literally.
And the Islamic Republic of Iran is known for human rights abuses, especially towards women. In what other ways are women oppressed in that regime that sort of justify what Donald Trump has done over the last couple of weeks?
Well, to be honest, before I give you the answer on that one thing when you said, when I was seeing all these women wearing the vagina costume, I did put a comment on their page and I said, well, you're wearing the wrong one. Why don't you wear the one that has been mutilated? Because under Sharia, female genital mutilation is happening daily, hourly, with hundreds of women. So you want to walk on the streets of America where you have the freedom to do this. You want to wear a vagina costume saying you're protesting for women rights? Why don't you stand there and one of you wear a mutilated one and say, this is what I'm going to stand for. This is what I'm going to fight for. I'm going to fight for all the girl and women who are being mutilated daily in Islamic countries that President Trump put the ban on.
It's infuriating to me to think that certain things that Donald Trump said in a bus like 30 years ago, that they compare the two. They compare his oppression, like that. They call that oppression, yet excuse the oppression that's going on right in front of their faces, saying that anyone who speaks out against it is Islamophobic. Now, why do you think the liberals, especially the so-called feminist liberals, are more concerned with Donald Trump's comments, but not about a culture that has normalized human rights abuses of every order, including towards women and gays?
Well, the very first step goes back to the fact that feminism doesn't mean the same anymore. Feminism is not about fighting for women's rights. It's all about talking trash about men and putting men down. It has changed its face. These people, these women on the street are marching and they're fighting against Trump because they're upset Hillary didn't take office. Anyone would be sitting on Trump's position right now, and they would do the same thing except Hillary, which I mean Hillary Clinton, obviously.
Obviously.
This is what it's all about. They don't care what's happening to women. They don't. We don't even need to go all the way back to Iran or Pakistan or Afghanistan or Iraq or Syria, where women are being oppressed daily by not having the right to vote, not having the right to buy properties, not having the right to get married, not having the right to get divorced. Forget about that part. Right here in America, how many of these women march on the street when a woman is being molested? How many of them are marching on the street when an honor killing happens in here in Arizona, when a Pakistani father and brother kill the daughter for getting too Americanized? None of them. Because they don't care about women rights. They're not feminists. They're just out there because they want to put men down. They want to talk about equality, but they want to have a higher power than man. They are, to me, they're a bunch of confused, selfish people. And yes, I use the term confused because they don't even know what they're doing. You go talk to any of them and say, okay, what would make you happy right now?
Right.
They won't have an answer for you. They won't.
Right.
You go in between any of them and tell them, okay, here's the deal. We're going to remove the ban. We're going to bring in refugees. Are you willing to shelter them? They're going to take off running so fast that you can't even see them.
Oh, of course. They want you to deal with the problem. They don't want to deal with the problem themselves. I mean, that's sort of a paramount facet of being a liberal, is that you get to posture as being a good person while other people get to clean up the messes that you create. And if if anyone disagrees that your way is the way to make things better, then you can sling whatever you want at them. You can sling mud at them, while you're in the next breath excusing some of the worst human rights abuses that are known to man that you can even possibly imagine. I can't even imagine what it's like to have your clit cut off. It's just, or to be like, to have to wear one of those godforsaken burqas, or it's so degrading. And what I don't understand is why they don't get that we see right through them. And this is like this outburst that they have. This is exactly what we are fighting against. This is exactly why Donald Trump was elected.
Exactly, because we're fed up. And the reason that I don't believe for a second they don't see it. They do see it. But again, it's a force of habit.
Now, what do you think?
It's a force of habit.
What do you think would need to happen let's say you were the advisor to Donald Trump. You were advising him on that region of the world. Or Iran. You were advising him on the culture of the Islamic Republic of Iran. What would you tell him needs to happen over there in order for him to establish a more friendly relationship with that country?
Believe it or not, the only thing that can possibly happen is to overthrow the regime. Every single Islamic country can never be an ally to any non-Islamic country as long as they are Islamic countries. Before the revolution, there were a majority of Muslim practicing Iranians in Iran. However, we had the separation of church and state. It was all fine. As long as there is a Sharia in place, which is the Islamic law that controls the country, there is nothing that can happen for any country to become allies. Because as soon as Sharia is involved, as soon as the constitution of a country is based on Quran, Hadith, and Sunnah, there are no human rights, especially non-existence for a woman. Therefore, there is no way to become allies.
Let's speak to our lefty audience real quick, okay? Explain to our lefty feminist, feminazi, social justice warrior audience what Sharia law in America would look like.
Well, the very first thing I would say is go home, close the door. For 48 hours, every move you want to make, get your husband's approval on it. Come back and tell me you're comfortable with that, because that's what's Sharia. Under Sharia, a man of a household will make every single decision for you, including what to wear, where to go, with whom you can go. As a woman, you're counted as a half a man. You have a half a brain to think with. So every single one of them can freely try that. I'm saying try it freely before you're forced to do it. 48 hours, every move you want to make, get your husband's approval on it. I promise you. There is not a single woman who will survive that. Under Sharia, you will not have the right to have a job if your husband or your father is not going to agree with your job. You are not allowed to make money unless you are approved by a man in your household. You're not allowed to speak loud in public as a woman. You cannot be heard by a man who's not related to you. Forget about marching on the street. Forget about wearing what you're wearing on the street, which is a vagina custom. Forget about yelling and screaming. Forget about touching another man as you punch them or throw things at them. Under Sharia, by Quran, words of Allah, on Surah 4, which is named the woman, it does say that the woman is half of a man. Therefore, she is not capable of making full decisions for herself, her children, or her family.
Well, I think you're absolutely right about many, many things. First of all, that there is no such thing as Islamophobia because a fear of Islam is totally rational. It's not irrational at all. We're here with Anni Cyrus. She is the founder of Live Up to Freedom. She's a member of the Glass Off Gang, and she's the national director and media contact for the American Truth Project. I am the disgruntled millennial, a.k.a. Brett Siegel, subbing in for Kevin Jackson. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. You can get us at kjradio.com. And we're going to be right back after a word from our wonderful sponsors. And I hope this segment has given you the opportunity to reflect on some very, very important things and a lot of important things that the left continues to miss on a daily basis.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Are you aware that the government is scheming to seize your retirement and bank accounts? Kevin Jackson here, folks. My friends at Landmark Capital Gold Group have the facts. They have a white paper titled How to Protect Your Retirement and Bank Accounts from Government Seizure. Transfer your 401k or IRA into physical gold and silver and take possession with no tax liability. Call Landmark Capital at 844-715-9411. That's 844-715-9411 or go to landmarkgold.com.
Have you seen Dr. Roberts about that sore in your mouth?
Nah, I'm sure it'll go away.
But it's been weeks. It could be oral cancer.
Mouth cancer?
Yeah, I read that it's more common in African American men than in any other group.
All right. I'll make an appointment.
Do you have a tough guy in your house? Make sure he sees a doctor or a dentist if he has a sore in his mouth that lasts more than 2 weeks. If it is oral cancer, it can be treated more successfully if it's caught early. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services National Institutes of Health.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.